I'm going to do is, I would request you to mute yourselves after I speak and Merlin takes on. Please mute yourselves and stop your videos, because then you'll get a clearer audio and video of Merlin herself. After she has spoken, she'll be speaking for about 30 minutes. We are going to open the floor for question and answers. Now, you can either put the questions on the chat box, which I'm going to sort of take up and put it together for Merlin. Otherwise, you can raise your hand and then one by one, sequentially, we will take the questions. And if there are some repeat questions which more or less are similar, then I'll club them together and ask her to address them. And then there'll be a vote of thanks, and the vote of thanks will be given by one of our oldest members, oldest in terms of age. And she has been very, very active in WGU. She is the chairperson of the Computer Center Committee, and her name is Dr. Sunita Mahajan. So she'll be giving our vote of thanks. And thank you everyone for joining and making time for this program. Savita, would you kindly introduce WGU and help us with...
Yeah, I'll just say a few sentences, already too late. I mean, I just want to say that in Bombay, we started thinking about women power and giving them facilities and giving them the right as well as the facilities to become big and make their life better. And all these women who were coming from abroad and from other parts of India and had no place to stay, we started off with WGU, the hostel that was there, and that set off the women folks spread into education, into jobs, into confidence. And with that, I would like to say that we were among the first to start it off. So with that, and the Consumer Protection Act, she's going to tell you all about it. It's one of the best acts that is there. And also that she's going to tell you how the easiest and the simplest way to be able to get it. And I think that's what we should listen to. So thank you. And I would like the speaker to please start immediately.
Yeah, I'll just introduce Merlin to you guys. Merlin is a practicing advocate in High Court, and she is apart from practicing advocate, she's also been an active member at the legal aid centers at Yashwantrao Chavan Legal Aid Center, and for 7 years, and thereafter at Goenka Legal Aid Center, Yashodham, Bombay Suburban, and she's been working with the senior late Shri K.R. Dhanukaji, who is a senior advocate at Bombay High Court and Supreme Court Bar. And she is a double graduate from Bombay University. She has done a BCom and then she did her LLB. She is also a certificate holder in NCC and an avid half marathon runner. So she's been associated with LIC, Holy Family Hospital, Fazal Boys during college days, and interned at Family Court Legal Aid Center at Bandra. Now she handles litigation matters of corporates and institutions at Bombay High Court and civil courts, and has appeared at courts on taluka levels, district levels in Maharashtra, as well as metropolitan city of Bombay. She's a life member of WGU, NCPA, and Indian Merchant Chamber Ladies Wing, district chairperson at Lions Club International for some time, and there are many little things that she has been doing. So she's a very active member, and she's also the secretary of WGU now. So may I request Merlin to take over and give us a nice lecture? I'm sure all of us will enjoy.
Good evening to all of you.
Good evening. They're all
I
muted.
thank Purvi.
They're all muted.
I thank Purvi in advance for giving me such a hearty introduction. And I'll go on with I'll start on with the topic today, which I am going to cover is consumer rights and user-friendly court procedure. Now we have the Consumer Protection Act from the year 1986. There are a lot of changes brought in the said act, and a new amended act has been put in force, known as the Consumer Protection Act 2019. This act has come into force from 20th July 2020. And this is keeping in view the changes over the years from 1986 till now that we are facing as consumers, trying to access justice and all. there are a lot of differences in ways of intellectual services provided other than the regular services which were existing in the year 1986. Today we are in a digital era. We are very media and tech savvy, and there was no much provisions to cover all these type of services in the earlier act. Now this act, Consumer Protection Act 2019, which takes effect from 20th July 2020, is very elaborate. Half an hour, 30 minutes is just simply an introduction to the act. We will have to have many more sessions where we could involve myself and many other speakers also to cover up various areas of this particular act, which will then enlighten members and one and all as to how each specific area under the act has so many different categories and so many different types of redressals where you can really approach the courts and get justice. The main issue with our Indian society is that we hardly have given importance to the Consumer Protection Act or the consumer laws, for example. In other nations, laws are very much implemented as far as consumers are concerned, and they are awarded compensations and damages in lakhs of rupees. But here it is, unfortunately, it has not been so from 1986. However, we are seeing a much big change in the manner of which orders are being passed and in the manner of penalties and compensations being awarded to the persons who are approaching the court as consumers. And there are many such instances which are also reported in the newspapers where people have been awarded lakhs of rupees as compensation also. So let me take you through the features of this new act. I have very short time, so I will try to cover it in a bullet points. And I have also prepared a note on it, and I have circulated to the office, and I think they will circulate it to all the members who are attending today. I have also told Kaustubh from the office of WGU to put the notes on online so that you all can view it. So as I said, this act, the new act, is taking effect from 20th July 2020. Now, the first thing that comes to mind is what happens prior to 20th July 2020. Prior to 20th July 2020, the complaints which are already registered will continue as per the old act. But all the complaints that are filed after 20th July 2020 will be governed by the new act. Yeah, my notes are being displayed. So the purpose of this act is to provide a simplified and speedy justice mechanism for the redressal of consumer grievances. I am not sure whether everybody will be able to read it or not. I would request the office to provide a copy of it by email or a hard copy to all the attendees later after the session is over. So I will take you through the provisions which are also on screen. The Act of 2019 has introduced the new law for filing a consumer grievance in the form of the complaint online. The Act has also introduced mediation proceedings for speedy and effective disposal of consumer cases. This Act is governed all over India. The central government, by its notification, has established a Central Consumer Protection Council, and that is headed by the Minister in charge of Consumer Affairs of each state. The main objects of this council is to promote and protect the rights of consumers And when I say consumers, the Act provides certain categories of consumers, which I will highlight to you. So as I was saying, that this is an Act governing all over India, and the central government, by its notification, have established the Central Consumer Protection Council. Now, this council is to be headed by a chairman, and the chairman has to be the minister in charge of consumer affairs of the state. Now, the main objects of this Central Consumer Protection Council is to promote and protect the rights of consumers. Now, when we say consumer, there are certain categories which is defined under the Act as to what are the consumers and what are their rights. So, I will highlight to you what are the rights as provided under the new Act. It is right to be protected against marketing of goods and services which are hazardous to life and property. There is right to be informed about quality, quantity, potency, purity, standard, and price of goods or services so as to protect the consumer against unfair trade practices. Right to be assured, wherever possible, access to variety of goods and services at competitive prices. Right to be heard and to be assured that consumers' interest will receive due consideration at appropriate. Right to seek redressal against unfair trade practices or restrictive trade practices or unscrupulous exploitation of consumers. Right to consumer education. Now, the state government of each state has been given powers to establish by its notification. That is the notification of each state for every district within the state to have a district consumer protection council. And this district consumer protection council will be in every district and its chairman will be the district collector. The Consumer Protection Act of 2019 has also established a designated mechanism for delivering justice known as forums or commissions. Now, these commissions were also established in the old Act of 1986. They are the District Forum or Consumer District Redressal Forum. Then there is the State Commission, which is above that, or the Consumer Dispute Redressal Commission. And even above that in hierarchy is the National Consumer Dispute Redressal Commission. Now, the District Forum or the Consumer District Redressal Forum is the venue, it is the forum, it is the court, which is where you can file your complaints. And these courts are set up in various areas which cover the locality which is allotted to them. That is known as the jurisdiction of those courts will cover the areas under which they are governed. If a particular grievance occurs in a particular area, you have to approach a particular court. Then there is the State Commission or Consumer Dispute Redressal Commission. The State Commission is a forum, is a court where you approach by way of an appeal from an order issued by the District Forum or the Consumer Dispute Redressal Commission. And the same court on the same level has also a dual capacity to also accept original complaints by the consumers, provided, however, here there is a particular amount of compensation that the consumers are asking. If that amount is high, there is a particular slab which I will take you a little later. If your amount or quantum of compensation is on the higher side and fitting within a particular bracket, then you have to file your complaint directly at the State Commission, but under the name of Consumer Dispute Redressal Commission. Because this court is having two capacity. One, to hear the appeals, then it is known as the State Commission, or before the court hearing the original complaint, that is the Consumer Dispute Redressal Commission. And then over and above that, we have the National Consumer Dispute Redressal Commission, which hears the appeals from the State Commission and also hears original complaints when, again, your compensation slab is reaching a particular higher amount than that of the State Commission. I will take you to the amounts later. So first, let us go through these complaints. These forums or commissions, as they are known as, are hearing the grievances of the consumers filed before them in the form of a complaint, which can be filed at all three forum commission depending on the value of the dispute, that is the compensation. And there is an appeal to the State Commission and there is an appeal to the National Commission. The procedure to place your grievance in the form of a written complaint has been simplified so that the common man can himself file his grievance even without going to seek legal assistance for filing his complaint. The only aspect is to be legally aware by consumers is the legal issues, that is the jurisdiction, the court fees, and the limitation for going about and redressing their grievances. Now, the points for consideration for filing a consumer complaint is summarized as under. When we have to file a consumer complaint, ultimately, since the complaint is being heard by a court, a forum, or a commission, the complaint has to be presented in a particular manner. Whenever a consumer complaint is filed, it is more appropriate, although not compulsory, to issue a notice to the party in writing before filing the complaint against the party. It would be ideal to state the defects and grievances and make the demand of compensation to be paid to you and put the party to the notice that if the compensation is not paid, the matter will be filed in the consumer court. The said notice to be sent by registered post or by email to the party concerned. Now, the reason for issuing of this notice is that there may be chance of settling the issue if the defending party, that is who has caused the grievance, genuinely wants to close the matter. Then the consumer will get some relief without even stepping to the court. Now, the next step is, if he does not receive the relief as sought for, he has to prepare a complaint and put it before the court. An individual who is not a legally oriented person will have certain glitches. He will face certain glitches to draft the complaint. Therefore, it is all better that a person put down all his grievances in writing on a piece of paper or on the computer and put it in the form as though what are your grievances, what are your losses, and what are your claims. Now, when we say losses, there are two types of losses. The actual losses that you have suffered, where you have had to incur expenditure, and the other is the estimated losses, where you would have an estimate of losses which you would have to suffer and your claims. Once that is done, then the consumer gets an idea as to what he is writing down, and then he can start writing his formal complaint. First, you have to put the name of the court, then you have to put the names of the parties, the address, the mobile number, the email ID. First, you put your details as a complainant, then you put all the persons against whom you are aggrieved as the opponents. They are known as the opponents here. Now, for the name of the court, there is a particular website known as the consumerhelpline.gov.in. I have given the website in the notes that I have provided to. It is made very simplified for persons to go on online and to get the necessary details, and even there is provision to file the complaint online. Once the names of the parties are put down, then the place of the offense and the quantum of the claim have to be mentioned, so that it takes care of the court to knowing that this particular complaint can be tried by this particular court. So you have to put down the address where the offense was committed and put down the total compensation which is claimed in terms of monetary value. Now, if the same is less than 1 crore, then the complaint will have to be addressed to the district forum, That is the Consumer Dispute Redressal Forum. If your compensation claimed is in the bracket of 1 crore to 10 crores, then your complaint has to be filed before the State Commission, that is also known as the Consumer Dispute Redressal Commission. And if your compensation claim is more than 10 crores, then you straight away file your complaint before the National Commission, that is the National Consumer Dispute Redressal Commission. The State Commission, may I tell you, is situated in Mumbai for the state of Maharashtra. The district forums or the Consumer District Redressal Forum are situated at various districts in various places. There is also the case updates which are given, which is online for the state of Maharashtra, and you can view your case details online at any moment from your mobile or laptop, and you can get to know your case details, the status of your case details in a moment online. Then there is the limitation clause. Now, there are things which a consumer has to keep in mind is that if he is aggrieved by a particular grievance and he has a legal remedy under the Consumer Protection Act, he cannot sit on that remedy for years together and one fine day at his whims and fancy approach the court. No, that is not accepted by the court. The court says that whenever you face a grievance, you get a reasonable time, because you get a time, but there is a maximum time of 2 years from the grievance having been occurred. So therefore, the complaint also should mention the date when the offense has taken place, when the grievance has occurred, and that date also has to be written down there. When these things are put up in the complaint clearly, the complaint comes up before the court almost instantly, and the hearing proceeds on in the matter. If not, then the consumer has to go to the court and satisfy to the court registry as to how this complaint lies before this court. A normal layperson don't understand these things, and for want of knowledge of these things and the confusion that's created in the courts, their complaints lie pending for years together. So when these things are put down clearly, then the courts can go directly to the point of what is the grievance. Then the complaint has to relate the facts of the case. So whatever the draft was prepared earlier of the facts of the case and of the grievances, losses, and claims can be put down here. After that, what do you want from the court? You have to put down under the category of reliefs prayed for or reliefs required. We call it in the term of prayers. So what reliefs you require, you have to put down an ABCD form and sign it, date it, and file it in the court. There are documents which will have to be annexed supporting your complaint. Now, these documents will depend on the nature of the complaint. For example, if you have purchased some goods and your grievance is against the goods which are defective, you should be able to provide the invoice of the goods. And if you have any interaction with the goods provider, any emails or any letters where you have put forward your grievance to that person and he has not redressed your grievance, that was what I was saying is about issuing a notice to that party. Then you have to annex those things and then show the court that this is the grievance that I have faced. And these are the documents supporting for that. Along with that, you also have to put one affidavit stating that I have filed this complaint and whatever I have said in complaint is true and correct. Once the complaint is ready, you can file it online, then go to the court and file the same and submit the hard copy to the court. Or if you are in a taluka level or in a very far off area, you can even send it to the court by registered post and file the complaint online. You get the number online instantly. Thereafter, after maybe a week's time, you can inquire the status of your complaint with the court registry. Once the complaint is properly numbered by the court, then the matter will go before the court and the notices will be issued to the party. They will put in the written claim and the matter will come up for the arguments. Once the matter comes up after the filing of the say of the other side, both the parties get a chance to put forward their documents before the court and lead evidence in the form of an affidavit. And without stepping in the box, the court will go through the documents submitted in original, look at your complaint, look at your grievances, and will hear both the parties and pass the order. What we have to also take care of is when we ask for the compensation from the court. At most times, the consumers are able to narrate their grievances properly, rather to the mark where they have got the pinch. But what happens is that most of the times, the compensation is for the exact losses and also for the mental agony or harassment or waste of time or whatsoever, or the losses that are caused or estimated losses that are caused. It becomes very difficult to prove all these things before the consumer court because the consumer court hears these matters summarily in a short manner. They do not allow you to step into the box and put your witnesses in the box and then lead evidence, and then, you know, how you see in the movies, you go to the trial and the opposite party will put questions to you, etc. We don't have that that system does not prevail here except in exceptional cases. However, since they are summary proceedings, what is necessary is that if you have faced losses in terms of money, you have always to produce the bills or receipts for it. And if there are estimated losses, then you have to explain to the court how and why you are estimating this losses caused to you. Then in that case, the court can look into that and you can be sure of getting your damages if the court is satisfied that you are really aggrieved and the grievance has been caused to you. Now, there is a lot. Let us look at who is the consumer. And as defined under the Act, the consumer is an individual who is a direct consumer of goods or services. Example, if a person purchases a small appliance for preparing a cake for personal use, he is the consumer. However, if the same person purchases machinery for manufacturing cake on a larger scale for commercial purposes, that is for the sale, then he is not coming under the category of consumer. Then if he has any grievance against that manufacturing defect, he will have to approach the civil court. He will not be able to approach the consumer court. A person who buys goods for consumption and not for resale or commercial purpose is a consumer. Likewise, a person purchasing a home appliance for domestic use is a consumer. But a person who uses the same appliance for commercial benefit is not a consumer. Now, whoever is not a consumer also has rights, but not before the consumer court. He has to approach the civil court under which he is governed. Now, there are certain personal services not covered under the Consumer Act are services rendered by a lawyer and doctor to their customers, which are personal services, and they are not covered under services defined under the Consumer Protection Act. However, the medical negligence is still a topic which is covered under the Consumer Protection Act, and you can file a case for medical negligence. There are different terminologies to the doctor services which are not coming under the category of personal services. For example, when you go to a hospital and you consult a doctor to hospital. Now, there are different types of consumer complaints for different categories of defects or deficiencies. The defects in goods purchased, then there is deficiency in services received, then there is excess price of goods and services, there is selling of hazardous goods, there is product liability against manufacturer or service provider, there is medical negligence against doctor, hospital or medical practitioner, there are deficiency in services against insurance companies. And each one, if we take on the topic of each one, it will go into elaborate session. So I am not touching on these aspects. We may have to do another session for that some other time. And now, there is one question that comes to mind is that when a consumer puts his grievance before the court, is that all that he has to do? No. The consumer will have to prove his complaints before the court. Therefore, it is in the interest of the consumer to provide the necessary documents to substantiate his claim so that he gets effective remedy from the court. Because ultimately the court is a machinery for giving redressal. We have to follow certain procedures. If there is a procedural lapse, the blame cannot go on the judge, but it goes directly back on the consumer. Now, who can file consumer complaints? Now, as I said earlier, who is a consumer is an individual person. Now, there are different types of associations also who can file consumer complaints for consumers on behalf of consumers. Now, an individual person being a direct consumer of goods or services can file a consumer complaint. Similarly, a group of consumers having similar interest in the matter can also file one consumer complaint. They also can file individual complaints, but if they have the same interest, they can also group it together and file one complaint. Then a consumer association can also file a complaint on behalf of its members or its member. Then the state or central government also has been given powers under this act to file complaints before the consumer courts. If there is a minor who is aggrieved, then the legal guardian of the minor can file the complaint on behalf of the minor. So here this act is also giving protection to minors who are aggrieved. And the central authority also can file the complaint. Now there are two authorities here, that's the state or central government and the central authority. These authorities are governed by the public bodies. They are public bodies, they are governed by the government and state. And as I said earlier, there is a provision that there are the district collector and the minister of each state have to organize Central Consumer Protection Council there are consumers who can, the consumers can also approach these councils before going to the consumer court and put their grievances before those councils and take up the matter from those councils also. Now, after the complaint has been filed, the consumers normally don't attend the court. Then what happens is that since they don't attend the court and the procedures of filing the original documents are not completed and there is no hearing of that complaint of the consumer, the matter suffers and then there is no redressal given. The matter simply, the file is closed and sent in the cupboard. Then the consumer has to come to the court and apply once again, giving valid reasons as to why he could not come and get his matter restored back on file and hear the matter. So it is always necessary that the complainant attends his dates of hearing and follows the procedure of the court and files his original documents and his affidavit, and then the case is argued and the judgment is passed. Now, what is the judgment? The Consumer Forum passes a detailed order stating the case of the complaint and the defense of the opponent and will give the court's observation and finding. If the complaint is allowed, then the claims of the complainant will be considered by the court, and the judgment and order can be also inclusive of issuing fines leading up to 50 lakhs in certain cases. As I said earlier, that the claim, the compensation as far as this act is concerned, they have elaborated that this court has the powers to pass fines and compensations right up to 50 lakhs. Now, what is to be done after the judgment is given in favor of the complainant, that is the consumer? Then the consumer has to file an application to the court to recover his claim. It is known as an execution petition, and the court then has the power to penalize the persons and even imprison the persons if they do not fulfill the orders of the court. There are penalties also which are given. Punishment for false and misleading advertisements. The punishment extends to 10 lakhs on the first offense, and for every subsequent offense, it may be fined up to 50 lakhs rupees. There is a National Consumer Helpline also, which is made available to public, and that I have given the number, that is 1800-114-000. Consumers can use this facility and redress their grievances here also. There is online filing also, where the complaints can be filed online, and it saves the consumers from going to the court and facing the court hurdles. I would like to end today by saying that the Women Graduate Union also, WGU, has also a consumer cell, and if there are people who want to approach for consumer aid or guidance, they can approach the consumer cell in the WGU. And if there are more people who come to this WGU for advice, then maybe a subcommittee also can be appointed, so that grievances can be redressed. Whatever aid and assistance can be given in the form of advice can be imparted to them, and they can be showed the right way and the right procedure to file their grievances. As of now, I think I have taken more than required time. So I'll end.
It's quite all right. It was a wonderful session, Merlin. I just, without wasting any more time, I would like to ask anybody if you are interested in raising any issues. In the meanwhile, I have Sri Lakshmi saying that she wants the online complaint details. Now,
Yes.
Sri
I will
Lakshmi,
provide
please.
that.
Yeah, what I'll do is, please put your email ID on the chat box, and I'll ask Merlin to mail it to you, or we'll have the office mail it to you.
Before anybody asks questions, I would like to add that this is only the preliminary first session where we have discussed on the new Consumer Protection Act. And as I said, we may have to have, if we want to cover up certain particular corners, we will have to have adequate
Certainly,
sessions
Merlin.
for that.
Certainly. We'll work that out. Anybody has any question? Because this is, for me, it's very close to my heart, this consumer complaints,
Yeah.
because I know how these corporates handle consumer complaints. So
I think I would like to thank
Yeah, please.
Marilyn. She's done a very good job in giving us
Thank you.
a bird's eye view of it, and it's one of those very difficult things. There are too many things going around, the change that came in 2019. So she's done a very good job, and thank you so much. And I think maybe we should have, as you said, Purvi, we should have at least one
Yes.
more lecture on it.
Yeah, we will do that. We'll organize that.
Yeah, very good.
I'm just waiting for some questions. If there's no question, then I'll ask Dr. Mahajan to give the vote of thanks. Is there anything anybody wants to ask?
No, Purvi, I somehow or other made it a point to join the session. Of
Sorry?
course, a little late. I made
Yeah, I
it a
saw
point
that.
to
You
join
were
the
late.
session, but a little late. Anyway,
Yes.
whatever I heard was very interesting.
Yeah, it's a very interesting subject. It is.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Hello.
Yes, please.
I want to know what sort of things are covered in Consumer Act. What all is covered?
I have mentioned it. It's on the first page.
Yeah, please, Merlin.
I have mentioned it. If you can take the notes that I have given, the office will provide you. I have mentioned basically this, that what are the categories for which the consumer can approach the court.
Okay, thank you.
I can-
If the notes are available, then I can go.
Yes.
Yeah,
Please
since-
put your email ID on the chat box and your request on the chat box. We will take it up and we'll send it to you. Please put it on the chat box.
And
Yes, please.
can you guide me on one more thing? Like, we keep maids in the house, and if they do something, then how do we go about
And you
it?
are not the consumer. Services are for maid.
Okay, she is the consumer. Huh?
That is
She is not the consumer. She is neither the consumer nor are you the consumer.
Achha, so that is not covered under.
This is a service.
This is employee-employer relationship. You will have to go to the labor court.
Okay.
Malin,
Yes.
Malin,
So
congratulations.
anybody
dear.
else?
Thank you.
I would just like to congratulate her, and I would like to ask one question is, what is the percentage of successful applications done to the filed in the court, consumer court? How many actually do succeed in getting their money compensation? Are they what is that, about just a percentage? Is it worth taking all the trouble? Do they really consider it, or do they really, pay attention to all the harassment and the tension, etc., that you are talking about? And the person who is in the court, are they regular judges or are they just social service people? The judges, no?
Yes.
Oh,
I'll
the
answer.
judges.
If you finish, I'll answer your queries. Now, first thing, let me come to the judges part. They are all judges. They are not social service.
Yeah, because in family courts, even ordinary people can offer their services as to sit in judgment in matters related to the family matters.
No.
No.
They are also judges.
Okay.
But
Okay.
you have social workers who are counselors in family court. But they
Those
are
that is a commission. That has got nothing to do with the judgments.
Okay.
not
and
with the judges. They counsel the party
Okay.
and they assess the court.
Okay.
Here, what happens is, under the consumer court, the judges are judicial persons only from different spheres of the judiciary. not social
Okay.
workers. And under this new act, the government itself wants to become proactive. The central government wants the state government of each state to be proactive and take an active part to help the consumers. Like, as you have said, that what is the percentage of people who are winning cases in consumer court?
Yeah, about.
So why
Just an-
they are, but nobody, yeah, but maybe they have faced a lot of problems. Therefore, this new act that has come, it has become more consumer friendly. So now, if in the past we have not heard about many cases being successful, we will surely hear that now. And I would urge the consumers not to keep quiet, but to use these facilities which are coming to their doorstep by online ways and all, and to address their grievances there. Because until and unless forums or courts like this do not come to know that there are consumers who are suffering, the consumers will keep on suffering,
Right.
and there will not be justice granted to anybody.
Thank you. Thank you, Malin.
Welcome, Kashmira.
Very interesting
I
talk.
have studied all this, but that is donkeys years ago. So I wanted to confirm. Okay.
Yes,
Study
yes,
the new
Deepti ji.
act.
Huh?
Yes, Deepti ji.
Well, it was a very interesting talk. I think probably the first of its kind.
had
And yes, I hope there'll be more talks like this that will change our impression of the courts, because I think as lay people, we are terrified even with consumer complaints to go to the court, because we think of a very long drawn out
Battle.
procedure and probably leading to no conclusion of any kind. So let's hope things will change.
Yes, they
Okay.
definitely will.
Yes, Merlin, you want to add something?
No, I said they definitely will. Therefore, this new provisions of the act are very user friendly, and they definitely will.
Anybody else?
Yeah, can I ask,
Sure.
uh, when in the housing societies,
Will you
they-
please introduce yourself, ma'am?
yeah, I'm Dr. Bakshish.
Doctor?
Bakshish.
Yes,
I'm your
okay.
life member. I'm your life member at the WGU. So
Boys, okay.
I just want to know that in housing societies, when they're undertaking repairs and they give us and it goes on, they take 12 installments that quarter and they still call it provisional. Does all this come to this consumer? Is it covered by the consumers? Can we take this up a complaint, or it has to go to housing society, a registrar of the housing?
The housing societies have different forums to approach to. There is a deputy registrar for each ward in the housing society, and higher than that, there are the cooperative courts which are dealing with all housing society issues. So that aspect does not come to the consumer court.
Well, then that is never ending. Then that means there's no conclusion to it.
No, there is conclusion.
There is.
You have to go to your deputy registrar, file a complaint online to the deputy registrar. He will send his person and he will do the inquiry. You don't have to first go to the court. You just go to the deputy registrar by email. You have all that is there online. You go to the cooperative society's website or the housing federation website. You will get the detail of your area deputy registrar. Just send him an email.
Okay, thank you. It was a very informative session. I wish we have some more of these.
Yeah, we'll have a series of these lectures as she's suggesting. Is there anything else anybody would like to say? Or can I hand over the mic to Dr. Mahajan? Dr. Mahajan, please take over.
Thank you. Thank you, Purabi, for giving me this opportunity. So it has become my pleasant duty now to give a vote of thanks for today's such wonderful lecture. And I am really waiting to get the notes also so that we can have the references. Thank you, Marlene. It was really nice. And you just explained it so nicely, and we are waiting for the next session so that we know more about the consumer things. We know that since many times people like me, they just keep quiet and then they lose monetarily and etc. I can just recite one instance that was told to me that these travel companies, when you pay money to them, if the journey doesn't take place, they don't return the money. So the money stays with them. And it happened especially during the COVID times that the money was staying with them. So how to recover that? So for that, I think we have to go to the consumer court. And I know about a case that the couple's money was returned. It was in the 2 lakhs or something. But somebody like ignorant about it, they will just keep quiet. So the topic was very nice. And I must thank you for such a wonderful lecture. You are really given a very good talk about it. And then I must thank Purabi for arranging this lecture, because to realize that such a sort of talk is necessary is also very great. And then I think our president couldn't come, but she permitted this, so she also has to be thanked. And then we have to thank all of you who came, somebody from Chennai, somebody from Hyderabad, and I mean different cities also you joined. So that was very nice, because the session becomes more interesting when there are more number of people, and then it really blooms up. So for such a thing, we must thank the audience also that who joined in such a big quantity, I must say. Thank you very much. Then the last, I must thank the office staff like Kaustubh for arranging it, for Akanksha and all others. And I would make it very short because we are already late. And if I have forgotten to thank anybody, let me thank them and wait for the next lecture. Now I have to talk next time. That is what Purabi says. But after that, I hope Marlene will come and give her talk again.
We'll set up some sessions with her. But
Yeah.
I would like to, one thing that Dr. Mahajan said, taking off from there, I am most thankful to the members of other UVAs, University Women's Associations from different regions, different cities who have taken time and come and sat through this session of ours. We are very, very thankful to you. Thank you, Vajanti. I know you personally, so I am thanking you. Thank you, Nandini. Thank you. I can't see the names. There are, there are 3-4 people who have come from other UVAs not belonging to WGU. We are very, very thankful to you, and our lectures will keep on coming up. So I'll keep on posting them. That is one. And as Dr. Mahajan said, we have another lecture coming up on Bitcoins in December, which she will be taking. The session will be taken by her.
I want to learn about it. Bitcoin is supposed to be a cryptocurrency. Since everything is going virtual, the virtual currency is also creating a lot of havoc. Every day I read that you can have the currency, so much of Bitcoins and this and that. So let us hope that my lecture will be at least half as interesting as Marlene's lecture. Thank you.
So we will have these sessions. Please find and make time and come here. Thank you so much, Marlene, for joining and giving us such a wonderful session. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Dr. Mahajan. Thank you.